Hi, Saints. Welcome back to our daily devotional. As today, we're still in the Sermon on the Mount, and today we're looking at Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 through 30. So I'm just going to read the section real quick, and then we'll jump into it. Verse 27, you have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away, for it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away, for it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body go into hell. So these are some strong words from Jesus. And again, when I had preached on this, I said one of the things we tend to do is diminish what Jesus says or look for the exceptions because he says some things that are so harsh. And here we see that we assume that Jesus is talking to men, right? I mean, he even says, if you look at a woman, but we have to recognize that there are also women that struggle with this as well. So Jesus is addressing anyone that would look sinfully and lustfully in a sexual manner towards someone. And in the beginning, at verse 27, you see Jesus says, you have heard that it was said. And if you look back in Matthew 5 at verse 21, he says, when he's talking about anger, he says, you have heard that it was said of those of old. So Jesus is not critiquing the law. What he's doing here is that he's addressing the misinterpretation by the scribes and Pharisees. Right? So he's saying, you've heard it was said, but now let me help you understand exactly what the law meant. So he's saying that, don't commit adultery. You've heard that, but I'm telling you, if you look, you've committed adultery in your heart. And when he's talking about gouging out your eyes, Jesus is not advocating self-mutilation because that does not cure lust. If you struggle with lust in a big way and you rip your eyes out, it doesn't cure it because lust is a problem with the heart. So what Jesus is doing is addressing the lengths we must go to kill sin and the seriousness of lust specifically. There was an article that Desiring God did, or that they posted, and it talked about a neurological research that had been done that stated the effect of internet pornography on the human brain is just as potent, if not more potent, than cocaine and heroin. Now that's sobering to hear that pornography can have that kind of pull. When you think about the ability for people to access pornography, especially kids. It's terrifying for me to think of what young men are going through right now and the ability they have to access whatever they want on the internet. And Jesus understands the pull of lust. As a matter of fact, if we look at the biblical men, lust is one of the biggest sins that took men down. Look, King David, right? King Solomon. King Solomon should be one of the most sobering warnings for us. He asked for wisdom. God granted him wisdom, a supernatural wisdom that he said, no man would be as wise. Other than Jesus, no man would be as wise as him. And even with that wisdom, he still fell in a massive way to lust. So Jesus knows the severity. He knows how serious it is. He knows how strong of a pull it is. And he's not just stating, don't do it. He's loving us here. He's warning us, right? And he's telling us that we need to gouge the eyes out. So if we know that we're not doing that literally, physically, how do we gouge the eyes out today? How do you do that? Well, maybe if you struggle with pornography, or it doesn't even have to be pornography. It could be other areas, other things that cause you to stumble. But the point is, phones, computers, maybe you need to get rid of them. Now, the immediate response would be, or most likely you'd be like, there's no way I can get rid of my phone. That's how I connect with everybody. Jesus says, rip your eye out. He's talking about extreme measures. Getting rid of your phone would be an extreme measure. Maybe someone that's watching this, and I don't know, but there could be somebody that's watching this, that the gouging out the eye for you could be confessing your sin to someone because it is a secret sin that you've held on to for so long. And you are ashamed and you are petrified of others knowing that you struggle with this. And the problem is that Satan uses our sin, especially in this area, and he uses the shame that comes along with it to keep us isolated. Right? So we continue in that cycle over and over and over again. I can say that as an unredeemed man, that was the case for me. God so graciously not only redeemed me, but he pulled me out of that garbage. But before that was the case, I was incredibly ashamed. Maybe that's you. Maybe you need to confess. Maybe there's someone that you need to just confess in and break that chain of shame and isolation and start with trusting a brother to know the struggle you're having, and the Lord use that to begin to remove that stronghold of your life. Repent, trust that Christ has forgiven you, and then move forward. The gouging out of the eyes can look different for all of us, but the question is, are you willing to do it? So it's a tough one. I hope you guys are still encouraged and challenged through that. God bless you guys. Love you. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon.